Dave Ramsey, weekdays 2 to 5 p.m. on AM 1060 WMEL. The views expressed on the following program are those of the hosts, callers, and guests, and are not necessarily those of WMEL staff, management, or advertisers.
This is Judge Dr. Folks, your host for Helping Seniors, the radio arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. The purpose of Helping Seniors is to inform, educate, and connect seniors and those that care for seniors to resources that can help them. I think the key word is to connect. We could have the most wonderful services of any county in the United States, but if people don't know about those services, if they don't know how to access those services, if they don't know what those services can do for them, why have them? It's a good question. But that's always been the purpose of this radio show for 15 years, and we're going on our 16th year now, is to do what we can to help people understand what is available in the community. If you have a comment or a question, you can always call a radio station here at 241-1060. That's WMEL AM 1060. You can call Kay Kaiser, our information specialist, at our office at area code 321-473-7770. And if she doesn't pick up the phone up right away, a voicemail will come on and it says, leave a message. If you leave the message, you will always receive a return call. That message that you leave goes on Kay's computer, my computer, and Kerry's computer. So all three of us will see that message. We couldn't bring this show to you without a bunch of businesses and all kind of organizations helping us pay the bill. And I'll just read some of them because Barbara McIntyre, who is the home equity specialist, as a result of the hurricane, a lot of people are finding out that their insurance doesn't cover some of the stuff they had. But if you own a home, folks, you can always call Barbara and you can arrange a small equity loan. If your home is paid for, or even if it isn't paid for, you're always eligible to get some money back to help you. So don't live in discomfort when there's a chance that you can live in comfort. Call Barbara, and her phone number, I'll just give it to you. It's got right here in front of me. It's 698-4739. 698-4739. Other sponsors include the Barefoot Bay Tatler, Brevard Chiropractic, and Neurogen Center. That's Dr. Borsch of Upwards Up in Rockledge, and Canadian Meds of Melbourne. They bring you some really good prices on drugs that your doctor with prescription medications. I gotta get careful how I use that word drug, K, and prescription medications.
Prescriptions.
Prescription medications. That's right. Not just drugs.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not drug dealers.
Correct.
We handle medications. Medications. Yes. That's good. I hope you're listening, Joe Pons, because we know that you're completely legal. Other sponsors include Beth Courtney of the Courtney Braswell Financial Team, Ebony News Today, Ear Care, and Ear Care is sponsoring us for a special magazine that Florida Day is putting out. It's the second year they're going to do this, and it'll come out on
November 20th.
Yeah, November 20th, and we especially are on the lookout for that because it gives you a lot of information about organizations that you can help do their job. Nonprofit organizations depend on people supporting them in order to do their job. We can't do this by ourselves. So a couple more sponsors include In-Home Personal Care Services, Kindred at Home, Levin Home Care, and Organized Creative Designs, which is a company that lady helps you downsize. And we find as we get older, Kay, that sometimes we get tired of looking at all the stuff we've carted around for 50, 60, and some people have carted around for 70 years. Because I got a letter yesterday from a guy 90 years old asking for help. So, people are not invulnerable to needing help. And I think that's one of the things that you're finding out, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The calls that come in, Joe, are all across the board. And I think that, and I wanted to especially thank, again, Ear Cares for sponsoring Helping Seniors of Brevard. As a nonprofit, they chose us, and they're specialized in, she's an audiologist, and they have hearing aids and so forth. But we are so thankful that we will have additional publicity coming up, and that hope that our listening audience will certainly consider making a donation to Helping Seniors of Brevard. Yeah.
I think it's also important for people to know that one of our sponsors, Senior Scene Magazine, Senior Scene magazine has roughly 250 locations throughout Brevard County that they display the magazine, and you can pick a copy up. It comes out the very first of the month, and you can go in there and you can find a list of we call them our partners. These are the organizations that help us pay the bills to keep our organization alive. And these sponsors, almost every one of them, are involved somehow in senior care, elder care.
Correct.
And it just makes sense to me that if somebody is willing to help ensure the seniors know about services, are better educated about what can be done to help them, and get that information out to them so they can connect with what their needs are, that it would make sense that these are the type of people that I would want to go to if I needed help.
Absolutely. And I would trust every single one of our partners. They're trustworthy. They're not going to be taking advantage of any senior. You know, when I refer resources to callers, they call me back and say, thank you. You know, I would have never known about this resource. And by the way, Carla Pickerel with Organized Creative Designs was telling me the other evening that she had received a call from a lady who had read her article in her newsletter a couple months ago. So it's telling me, you know, people really read our newsletter in Senior Scene magazine. It's a special section in the center of Senior Scene, and they can pull it out and save it. So it just goes to prove, Joe Steckler, that they are definitely reading that. So it's wonderful information. It's good educational information, and certainly it's helping a lot of people understand in those specific categories.
Well, you know, Kay, there are a lot of radio shows around the country. And when I started this radio show 16 years ago, 15 years actually, we're going on our 16th year now. But when we started 15 years ago, there were over 11,000 radio shows in the United States. And ours was the third show in over 11,000 that talked about senior issues.
It's amazing.
Only 3 out of 11,000 radio shows. That says something. And I think John Harper will remember that shortly after we started the show, I got a contract offer from Talk One Radio in Los Angeles where they wanted me to come out there and do a 3-hour daily, 5-day-a-week radio show. And there were 10 million people in the range of the radio station.
Wow.
And yeah, I talked to Terry about this, and that we very quickly decided that we would stay right here in Brevard County. We had no desire to go to Los Angeles. But
well, we're glad you stayed in Brevard County.
I feel good about it. But my whole point in bringing that up, Kay, was that if we have programs like the one that Joe Pons recommends, I doubt that anybody listening to this radio show has not heard of a horror story of some senior breaking pills in half or simply not taking their medication on a regular basis as prescribed by the doctor because they simply couldn't afford it. Yet, at the same time, I know that Joe Pons with Canadian Meds of Melbourne can provide prescription drugs, medications under doctors' prescription forms that go through Canadian Meds pharmacies. They're checked out just like they're checked out in any United States pharmacy to make sure that the medications are compatible with each other.
Right.
And I always like to think about the one story where there is a special injection that a lot of athletes and people that have had knee or joint problems, and this injection costs something like between $1,100 and $1,200 if you get it done at a doctor's office, say here in Melbourne.
Right.
Yet, you can go to Joe Pons and get the same medication purchased from him, and it cost of the medication, the shot thing, and the doctor giving it and everything is roughly $175.
A fraction of the cost.
As opposed to $1,200. Yeah.
Yeah, he can save up to 90% on some prescriptions
right.
here. It's amazing. So,
but they're not different drugs. They're the same drugs that we purchase here.
So I recommend if anybody wants to get that information, please call our office at 321-473-7770. 770. And we'll put you in touch with Joe Pons of Canadian Meds of Melbourne.
The reason that we're doing this today, folks, is we're going to have a couple of callers, and we're waiting for them to call in.
And we have, I believe, Kerry is on the line right now. Is that true?
That's you, Kerry?
That's true. Good afternoon, guys. How's everything back at the studios?
Well, right now, we were sitting there crying a little bit because you hadn't called in a little. We were waiting for you to call.
Well, it's good. It's good. There's lots of traffic here. There's been someplace between 400 and 500 people stopping by the Indian River Center here in Titusville because they're having the Senior Fair Expo. And, of course, we're here thanks to our friends at Senior Scene Magazine with the Helping Seniors of Brevard table. So lots of folks stopping by, picking up information about the Senior Information Hotline and, of course, the flyers about the Win the Jaguar promotion. There's a lot of people walk up, they see the picture of that car, and they are just phenomenal. Everybody has a good car story. So it's been a great day out here.
Are you selling any raffle tickets there, Kerry?
Well, without the Jaguar for people to walk by, that's a complicated part of it. But I've had a lot of people say they're going to call back in. So let's believe them to be doing that.
All right.
Did you? I was going to ask you a question. Did you see anybody up here scanning those pill boxes that you put the pills in, 7-day-a-week ones?
That's a good question. There are literally about 15 different vendors who are out here at the event, including some of the people who have been good supporters of the Helping Seniors. Like, for example, Vitas is out here, Vitas Healthcare. So people are walking around with, they're collecting up good bags of all sorts of goodies, and there probably are some pill carry-overs. I'll have a look and see if there are some around here. And
the reason I ask is. The reason I ask you, Kerry, is I broke the top off the ones I got from Kindred a couple of years ago. And if you can find one of the 7-day ones, get me a couple of them because I need them. And I looked at the ones that they had in a couple of drugstores, and I just didn't like the ones that I saw there as well as the ones that they give out at the health fairs. And, you made a comment about the bag of goodies. A lot of people go to these things just to get the bag of goodies,
That's
and
right.
if they passed out more chocolate chip cookies and things like that, I'd probably be out there at those health fairs more myself. But I'm only kidding. Not really. I would eat the chocolate chip cookies. But you said
it's a fun thing because people are coming out. They do all the things like the free flu shots. They do some blood pressure monitoring. They've got all sorts of things out here. I'm sitting across from the Central Brevard Humane Society. They brought a cat that's up for adoption. So if you know anybody who wants a cat, they're welcome to come down and be part of all that. But there's amazing information that's out here. And one of the things, as you know, with Helping Seniors being an information source, both for people who call the Senior Information Hotline inbound, but also people who read the articles. I've had a lot of people come up and comment about how much they enjoy reading your article in the Senior Scene Magazine as an example. And they talk about how they'll pick up their copy every month and are looking forward to the Senior Scene newsletter. So it's a real good point of contact with people, and they're always grateful to hear because they all know a neighbor, a loved one, or somebody that has been stuck in some sort of a situation. And I'm encouraging them to say, basically give us a call at 321-473-7770. We're here to try to connect and find a solution if there's a way that we can. And typically we're very good at that, and it's mostly because of your experience, Joe, and also Kay's experience at knowing how to get people connected to the place that really can make a difference.
Well, that does make a lot of sense. Kerry, we have a lot of good organizations in Brevard County that receive state and federal money to provide services. For example, a lot of people don't know this, that the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation receives probably right now around between $300,000 and $400,000 a year to provide free daycare to seniors that have dementia. And but if the people don't know about that service, they're not going to call and ask about that service because the Alzheimer's Foundation, just like any other organization that provides a service, they have money from federal sources to provide free care, or they would like to charge and make the money at a profit, just like any other business. However, having said that, that was the reason that President Johnson signed into law the Older American Act in 1965. The purpose of that was to help families that couldn't afford daycare. It's a humiliating experience to see people that need help and care be denied that care simply because they don't know how to ask for it or where to go to ask for it. And that's why I try every time I can on the show to plug some of the organizations in town, like Aging Matters, that gets several $1 million from the federal government to provide these services for people, like in-home cleaning services and help with the activities of daily living. And that's what the show is going to be about. We were going to talk about in-home care today, and we're waiting for Jackie Esterline of Love and Home Care to call in. But if she doesn't, Kay and I'll talk a little bit about it. But that's another thing that comes out at these health fairs that you go to, because if they go around, they'll see all these types of services, and that's the type of thing you see up there. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact, what I was going to tell you, it's interesting, the people who've come by the table, and I mean, there have been a lot of people. I had actually emailed to Kay earlier. I said she sent me with a good supply of Helping Seniors rack cards, and I believe I'll be out before the day is over. This is open until 2 o'clock today. But it's interesting because some people say, okay, are you going to help me find a place to live, or are you going to help me find a place where I can, get help where I'm at now? And the beautiful thing, as you know, about Helping Seniors is that we're able to be a resource to help people get connected to all kinds of services. We sort of meet people where they are. And that's one of the things that, people have come up and said, well, it's interesting. I have this neighbor who has this situation, and they've called this agency X number of times, can't get anything but a voicemail. And I explained to them, I said, well, if you call us, you're going to work with a live person. We've helped over 1,500 different people, and it's a case of multiple contacts or whatever it's going to take to get the situation to a resolution. So when you call Helping Seniors, you really are calling somebody who not only can, but who also cares. That's the most significant part of it.
Well, and I'll add to that too, Kerry Fink, is the fact that when I receive a call, and this just happened, recent as yesterday, I had a fellow who was calling for his brother, who's a veteran, and he was in an assisted living facility. He was trying to get some veteran benefits. But when I learned what his income was, then I suggested to him and Bill Johnson, give Bill Johnson a call, because he's a board-certified elder law attorney. In addition to that, then looking for, because his brother had the beginning signs of dementia, and he was looking for a reasonable cost assisted living memory care. So one thing led to another. So those are the kind of things that I take great pride in the fact that when somebody calls about something specific and then I inquire, they start opening up to me, we find that there are a lot of other needs that they may be needing as well.
Yeah, it's no secret, Kerry and Kay, that the cost of care is going up, but quite honestly, folks, we have some of the very, very best places to provide care here in Brevard County. Some of our new organizations like Riverview, Zion Beachside Assisted Living, and Market Street Memory Living. These places actually, in some instances, are driving down the cost of care. So that makes it a smart thing for people to start asking more questions. Don't, just because you hear what you think is a horror story, don't take it for granted that what you've been told is the only solution or the only answer. You would be very surprised, listeners, if you would start asking more questions and making a better tour of the care circuit so that you find out more of the organizations that are trying to do things to drive down the cost of care. And I think that these places they have to provide care in order to stay in business, so they're going to do the very best they can to give you the best price that you can get, but you have to ask questions. Kay, what else have you heard about that?
Well, and I think that's the key to everything. You've got to inquire. Don't just take, for granted, oh, I've heard about this place or I know about this. Explore the possibilities. You may think that you're looking, as I mentioned about the example of that caller, you may think you only need one thing, but it may result in, now what do I do? And let's talk it out. I try to take my time in exploring what my callers need truly are. And especially if I get a caller from a lady who's a non-remarried surviving spouse of a veteran who may be missing out on a lot of benefits from the VA and all that. So she may not have even known that's available to her. So these are kind of questions that I may ask, especially a lady that's calling in, were you married to a veteran? Never even thought about it. So it's really important.
You're right. But a lot of people don't realize that, they're now starting to pick up veterans from the Vietnam War and Korea. It's not just World War II.
That's right.
You've got a range of time frame. And what's important is for you to make the call to Kay, and then Kay can refer you to one of the best people I know is a fellow by the name of Brian Van Arsdale, who's out at the local VA office in
Viera.
633-2012.
You got it.
633-2012.
You got it.
If you call Brian and just ask him a question.
Yeah.
I think you might be surprised at the range of benefits and the amount of help that are available to people simply if they ask the question.
That's the key. Ask the question.
Yeah, that's really key. You got to ask a question, because if you don't ask a question, you're not gonna know. If Jackie, if you're driving that car, that loving home care car with those signs all over the side of it, so that people know what you are, it's still pink, I think, with signs all over it.
I think it's white this time.
It's what?
I think it's a white car this time.
White car?
She got a new one.
Got a new car?
Yeah.
They haven't painted signs on it yet?
Oh, yeah, they've got it all wrapped.
Oh, okay. All right. But give us a call, Jackie. And then we're going to take our mid-show break, folks, now. And stick with us on the other side. We're going to talk about in-home care and some of the things that are available for people that you may not know about. Stay with us.
Ed Dean, weekdays 5 to 7 p.m. on AM 1060 WMEL.
Folks, we're back live with the second half of Helping Seniors, the radio arm of Helping Seniors at Brevard.org. The purpose of our radio show is to inform, educate, and connect seniors and those that care for seniors with resources they need to help them age with dignity and maybe live a little better life. Our office is manned by Kay Kaiser, our information specialist, and her phone number is 473-7770. And some of our sponsors include, in addition to the ones I named at the beginning of the show, our Hometown News, Senior Scene Magazine, Seniors Helping Seniors, Dr. Lee Sheldon, who has the dental implant clinic over on Aurora Road, the Eye Institute, the Fountains of Melbourne, Veterans Realty of Brevard, Vitas Hospice, Market Street Memory Care, Bill Johnson, elder law attorney, this radio station, Wusthof Hospital System, and Zahn Beachside. There's a couple of things that I do want to mention, folks, because a lot of stuff, people are amazed that I know some of the things that I know, but I only know some of these things because people like a guy named Peter Brooks down in Palm Bay. Peter is an avid internet researcher, and if he sees something interesting on that internet, he sends it to me. And one of the things he sent me, Kay, was the fact that the cost of living for Social Security this year is going to be 0.3%.
Wow.
0.3%. That doesn't even keep up with the increase in the cost of a hamburger.
Not even close.
No.
And then to top that off too, Joe, is the fact that you've heard about the Obamacare going to be going up another 25%.
Yes, and we're not going to get into the subject of the election, but I just want to say one thing about it. If anybody believes that we can reduce the budget and add more entitlement programs, you've got to simply be out of your mind. There's just no way you can do that. So in order for us to balance our budget, we're going to have to do some tightening of the belt along the line, and I'm not even going to get into it because I did a radio show for like folks, and some of you remember 5-6 years ago I did a show every Monday called Looking to the Future, and I got so wrapped around the axle with that darn radio show that I thought, how can I find all this stuff out, yet I can find so many people that don't believe it. What people don't realize, Kay, is Obamacare, the blueprint for that, is in a book. If you want to go to the library, you look under Senator Tom Daschle, and you look at the book he wrote on home care, and you'll find that the book that Daschle sponsored on home care is the same plan that President Clinton's wife, Hillary Clinton, designed when he was the president, when he asked her to look into the Home Care Act. That is the blueprint for Obamacare. So, you know, it's costly. All I'm going to say about it, we'll drop it, is in the next 12 days, folks, take a good hard look at who you intend to vote for,
yes,
and do the very best you can to find out some of the myth, fact, right, wrong, honest, untrue things about what both candidates are saying.
Right.
And just try to do the very best you can to make an informed decision on how you handle that vote. The other thing I do want to say is that one of the things that's going to go into effect in 2017, and Congress has not really made up its mind exactly when it's going to do it, and it has to do with the business of whether or not we can be defined as inpatient or different types of care when you get admitted to a hospital. And we're going to have to know more about that, folks, especially those of you that go to a hospital and you're in a hospital for 3 days or more. If you are entered under an observation status instead of an inpatient status, your insurance will not pay for your coverage in the hospital.
Right.
And you just don't find any place that these types of things are mentioned. And that's the advantage of listening to a radio show like this, because we have no axe to grind, Kay, about the truth.
Right.
And it is a fact that if you are in the hospital under observation status, you will not qualify for insurance payments.
That's
so
right.
It's something that all I'm saying is, folks, those of you that are listening, and you tell your friends, the ones you know are going to a hospital, have their doctor check to see whether he has got them admitted for inpatient status or observation status. And simply because you go to the emergency room, when they go from the hospital to go to the emergency room and they put you in the hospital, does not mean that you're admitted as a patient.
Correct.
They can go and be admitted for observation. So what we're saying, folks, is that there's a whole new set of rules that's going to be coming into play in 2017.
Yes.
There's going to be a new president. There's going to be a lot of things from the Affordable Care Act that are going to start taking effect in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. And they're all going to cost us more money.
And by the way, the open enrollment for Obamacare and shopping around for insurance begins November 1st.
The open enrollment. So that's when you got to talk to your SHINE people.
Well, absolutely. For Medicare, I mean, that's going on actually right now, is the open enrollment for Medicare. But I'm talking about for the average individual out there, you know, to shop around for any kind of Obamacare insurance begins November 1st, from what I understand.
Well, have you talked to Lance Jarvis from SHINE about being on a radio show in November?
No, but I think maybe that would be a good idea.
We need to get Lance on, because for those of you who don't know, folks, Lance Jarvis is the SHINE coordinator for Brevard County, and SHINE is for serving the health insurance needs of Florida's elders, and it's a federal program. It's paid for with federal dollars, and it actually costs something like $52 million for that program to exist across the entire United States. Oh. And this year, they tried to defund that program. It doesn't make sense, but the Easter hasn't put it back in. So
I think it's important, too, for our listening audience to know what Shine is all about.
Go ahead and tell them.
Those are individuals that are volunteers. There's absolutely no cost to have someone review your Medicare plan, to go over Part A, B, C, and D. These people volunteer their services for free. But it's important for you to realize that if you don't look at what your options are and you keep that same Medicare plan, you may be missing out on some of the new things that might be available for you to understand.
Well, that's what's the beauty of there are good parts of the Affordable Care Act, folks. Don't take what I'm saying to mean that it's all bad. It's not all bad. There are good parts, but you have to know the good from the bad. And it's like the good, the bad, and the ugly. Was that Clint Eastwood?
Yeah, Clint Eastwood.
Yeah,
that's right.
This big Magnum 44.
Yeah.
I just remember that.
Remember that movie?
I could just see him pointing that 44 Magnum at the Affordable Care Act bill, trying to shoot one of those pins out of President Obama's hands. But anyway.
That's a good visual.
If you lose your sense of humor, you've lost everything.
I agree.
And I can't tell you over the 16 years that I've been on radio that I've had people call me and say, I won't use the word, they'll say, what the H were you talking about on the show, Joe? And I said, well, I was trying to make a point, and I guess obviously I did it because you called me to ask me what I was talking about. And if I caused you to think to call me, then I succeeded in what I was trying to do. It's just like the notes I put on fundraising letters. I always put a note on there telling people what I would like from them. And I've had people call me up and say, Joe, what did you write on that note? I couldn't make it out.
Well, I think Wayne is our producer here today. He's typing in Magnum Force. Eastwood had a 44.
Yeah, it was the movie Magnum Force. He used the 44 Magnum. I can just hear some of the ammunition people out there think, "Look, that's the wrong weapon." Good, Bad, and the Ugly. He used a Colt 4420. That was a Western.
Ah, okay.
But still, he was a bad guy.
Yeah.
I mean, well, he was a good guy, but bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yep, we do.
Yeah, I wonder.
Go ahead, make my day.
Well,
You're right.
What was who was the actor that played Moses all the time? Oh, Charlton Heston.
Oh, Charlton Heston.
Charlton
yeah.
Heston had one of the finest weapons collections of anybody in the United States.
Amazing. I've seen pictures of that.
Amazing collection.
I could only wish I had that one. I've got a few weapons, but nothing that would compare to Charlton Heston.
Well, I think one thing I have is that years ago I had a couple of Bibles and I sent them off, and I had a Catholic Bible I sent to somebody to get his signed, and I sent another Bible off to Clint Eastwood because he'd always played Moses so many times. I asked him if he would sign a Bible I could sell at an auction, and he sent me a letter back.
Wow.
And there were so many mistakes in the typed letter that I had to be certain that it was Clint Eastwood Charlton Heston had signed that letter, had written a letter himself. But I have that letter at home. It's something I treasure because it showed me that, unless we ask questions, unless we try to do the very best we can to ensure people understand what it is that we're trying to do, then people don't know whether or not to ask you a question.
That's right.
And to try to get help.
Well, Joe, before we get off of that subject, if we ever can if Trump gets in office, though, and he keeps his promise to get rid of Obamacare, this is how it'll sound.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Thank you very much. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Make my day. Yeah.
It'll make my day.
I wouldn't mind.
All right.
John may throw us all off the air. Right. Folks, when we took the half-hour break, I think I left Kerry hanging on the phone up at the park in Titusville. I didn't even do him the courtesy of thanking him and signing him off, but I'll talk to him later this evening and apologize for that oversight. But what Kerry had to say about some of these what you do see at these health fairs when you go to them, folks, there's a lot of good information out there. There's a goodie bag you get too, but there's a lot of valuable information that you get by going to these fairs and asking questions. The people are there to answer your questions, and
That's right.
Yes, they're business people.
Absolutely.
But heavens, yeah. living of life costs money. So why not do the very best you can to try to get the very best deal you can?
That's right.
So that you can live it the way you want to try and live it.
Absolutely.
Let's get on the subject of home care for just a minute, okay?
Okay.
But I think that a lot of our listeners have been influenced so much over the last several years about the talk of increased costs of nursing homes, increased costs of assisted living, and they don't think that there are a lot of measures that we can use, services we can combine one with another to help drive down the cost of care. And at one point in our country, we had over 100 companies, major insurance companies, that were sponsoring long-term care insurance. And then he found out that this long-term care insurance wasn't all it was purported to be, because it was breaking some companies. Some companies just didn't do it the right way.
Right.
And my wife and I happened to get policies through John Hancock and Mutual of Omaha, and ours are very good plans. And we just got an increase the other day of how much they will reimburse us for if one of us had to go into a nursing home or assisted living facility. And it actually pays about 2/3 of the monthly cost.
Wow.
It doesn't pay the entire cost, but it'll pay the lion's share of it. And the reason I'm bringing this up, folks, is that while a lot of the companies that provided the type of care that Terry and I have gone out of business doing it, there are some other new types of insurance out there that you can ask a good, trustworthy insurance company about. They have something to do with an equity policy, and I'm not very favorably inclined toward equity policies myself. But it depends on the situation, on the need, and what we need to look for. And when you're talking about in-home care, people are going to have to do a better job of planning themselves as to how they can take care of us. Because I'm sure that a lot of the calls you get, Kay, are for people that simply they're at wit's end. They don't know where to go for help. They don't know where to get care because they can't pay for it.
Well, that's the bottom line. And you've got different type of home care. You've got the initial stage would be a hands-off, and that may be a company that can send people in that they can cook, they can transport, they can be a companion. They can help clean a little bit, but they cannot touch the individual. Then you've got one like Levin Home Nurse Registry. We were talking about having Jackie Esterline call in today, and they have CNAs and home health aides. Now, there's a difference. They can touch, so if someone needs help getting up out of a chair, or they need help getting bathed or dressed, they can come in. But I give kind of like caveat emptor on people just picking up the phone and I'm going to go with the first company that comes to mind, because they're not all the same. Many agencies require a lengthy contract. In other words, they have to have a minimum of 3 times a week and X amount of hours. I like to refer people to different resources that once I learn what their needs are, Joe, then I can say, well, you may only need an hour a week. So you don't have to sign a big contract. And they say, I don't? Well, my neighbor told me to go to this and this company and everything, and then she was happy with them. But, why spend more money if you don't need to?
But at the same time, Kay, I caution anyone that's listening to this radio show, if you call a company to come in to assist you in any way in your home, ask them to see their workers' compensation license.
Very good. Thank you.
Because if they don't have workers' compensation and that worker gets injured in your home, you then become liable for the care of that worker. And
that's right.
This is another whole ball game, folks. It could be another whole show. Bill Johnson and I have talked about this several times on radio shows over the year. What are your responsibilities when you are receiving care from some organization? Licensing and insurance are extremely important, and I highly recommend that anytime you got somebody come in your home to provide care for you, that you ask them what their qualifications are, what are their licenses and ask them to show you their licenses.
Right.
Folks, if you expose yourself to unnecessary risk, and you only have yourself to blame for it if you don't ask the right questions.
Another thing I want to bring out to our listening audience too, Joe Steckler, is the fact that I can recall one of the very first calls I took was from a senior lady who had this lady come into her home and live with her. She was pregnant, actually, and stole this lady blind. She was afraid to prosecute. So just don't put a sign up at your church bulletin board. You're looking for help. As a matter of fact, I saw an ad in a newsletter last week where a lady was from a different area code looking for her mother for that in-home care and putting an ad in it. So just anybody out there, you just really have to be very, very cautious.
And to you folks that are in the sort of same age that I am, if you're in your late 70s, early 80s, before you're so willing to sign over your checking account and your bank account to one of your children, think about what your children might be capable of doing. It's one of the hardest things for a mother or a father to think that I cannot trust my child to do what is the right thing. But folks, I can tell you, I can prove it to you that the majority of elder abuse is committed by family members. That's a sad thing.
Yeah, it really is sad.
It is a true statement. And if you put one of your children's name on a bank book, that gives them the authority to draw every penny out of that bank account, and you have no recourse. There's nothing you can do about it if they drain your accounts and steal you blind. So before you put yourself in a position to have that happen, think about what you know that your children are capable of doing. You might have 5 children. Maybe only one might do that. Maybe none would do it, but maybe 4 of the 5 would do it. So think about who you invest in your care and who you trust. We just had a sad story about a couple that were married late in life a second time, first time for one of the partners, but the woman lost all her jewelry and to a caregiver, and they're still investigating that. But it's sad, but you've just got to do everything you can to prepare yourself. Okay, I'll let you close out the program today.
Okay, I'll be happy to. Well, I think the bottom line is ask questions. Make sure that you get verification of anybody that you're interested in having come in to help you in whatever shape or form. Make sure that you qualify that. And I would say to anyone listening out there, be sure to keep our number, and some people I think do keep the number up on their refrigerator, because I get calls from people who called in initially 2 years ago. But our number for helping seniors out of Brevard is 321-473-7770. So anything that Joe Steckler and I have spoken to and about today, and if you need to get like Joe Pond's Canadian Meds of Melbourne's number or Carla Pickerel from Organized Creative Designs, we've got all that for you. So don't hesitate to call. And as Joe mentioned also, every single call, if I'm busy on the phone, leave a message, and I promise we'll call you back. And
I told Kay she had the word. She can't have the last word. I got the last word. We've got this Jaguar we're raffling off, folks. It's going to be raffled off on 3 December, and we need your help in making donations to purchase those stickers. You can call Kay at 473-7770 to get information on how you can help us promote those tickets or make a donation and get some of the tickets yourself. The car is a beautiful car, and I'm not steering you in the wrong direction, but we do need your help. So.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, anybody who wants to really go around town in a ruby red Jaguar with this thing is absolutely gorgeous. So give us a call at the office, 473-7770. I can send tickets out to you, or I can give you our P.O. box, or whatever way you want to handle it. Well, please help us. We would really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.